Okay, so this is my impression of every single one of those things to do instead of doom scrolling videos. Go for a run, write a novel, make some friendship bracelets, climb Mount Everest, give birth, call a friend, breastfeed a friend, cook a steak. And I go, what are you talking about? Those are not remotely the same thing as zoning out on my phone for 2 hours. Those things require energy, brain power, planning. They're not addictive, and they don't allow you to mindlessly engage. Sure, they're like good, healthy habits. Breastfeeding the homies does have many psychological benefits. But the problem is that spending hours in a sort of half-conscious state, making absolutely no decisions while an algorithm engineered to be more addictive than a slot machine, and also knows more about you than you know about yourself, perfectly curates every single moment of an experience tailored exactly to you. That feels fucking awesome. And this is how you know AI didn't write this video, because no AI would write a run-on sentence that heinous. You know what doesn't feel excellent? Cleaning your kitchen or going on a run. But brain rotting on the internet is now a political choice. And if that's embarrassing to hear, imagine how embarrassing it is to say. That comfort comes at a price of like a large and growing percentage of your life, which is being siphoned off and profited from by 8 dudes who have more wealth than the bottom half of the world. And they're only causing the crumbling of society because outrage bait and obvious lies improves user retention. And all of this is just to sell more advertising.
Stop talking about way is literally participation trophy.
Everyone's depressed and society is on fire, and it's just so they can show one more person an ad like this. But I think I figured out something groundbreaking in the science of how to get the fuck off your phone that weirdly I don't think I've seen anybody talking about, because like nobody says things to do instead of meth, and it's like, go rock climbing. No, they give you methadone. In order to quit cigarettes, you need like nicotine patches. To quit beer, you drink 0% beer, and then you can be like these cool, trendy non-alcohol drinkers, having the time of their lives, and remembering every stupid thing their drunk friends said. Oh, don't they make you just want to drink non-alcoholic bread water? Yeah. So, what do we do to replace a lazy mind-numbing habit? Probably a lazy mind-numbing activity, which sounds like really simple and too good to be true, especially when you're up against like the most powerful and profitable companies in human history and their ability to engineer a maximally addictive product. Of course, it's tempting to buy into the ultra productivity, anti-scrolling life hack YouTubes like,
make discomfort your comfort zone, motherfucker. If your life is worthless, guess what, motherfucker? It's because you don't put no work in your life.
But those guys are also selling you advertisements. Well, I'm not trying to sell you anything. Why? Because I'm stupid. But if the hacks or the willpower or the monk mode haven't worked for you, they don't really work for me. Here's something else. Throughout human history, humans did brain-dead easy manual labor like weaving baskets and whittling spheres and clacking rocks together. Things that might be complicated or hard to learn at first, but once you know how to do them, you can just do them. And now we have disturbingly little to do with our little grabbers on the day-to-day basis, other than like a typa and a swipa. I posit that at least half of on average, 144 times you're checking your phone, it's just because you don't have anything to do with your hands. And as I'll show later, the phone has become a literal extension of your body, so going full iPad baby is just the easiest thing to do. The phrase biological imperative to doom scroll popped into my head, and now I can't stop thinking about it, so. You gotta find low effort, easy activities, especially if you're one of those fidgety people for whom this image instills pure rage. This video is for you.
I don't know what to do with my hands in real life. That's why I smoke.
And while I'm here, I'm gonna try some of these low effort, handy sort of hobbies to maybe steer you in the right direction of what to look for and what will work and what won't work. My criteria are threefold. Number one, can I do it when my brain and my body are just completely exhausted and I just wanna rot? This is excluding things like walking and journaling, because I'm tired. I don't wanna do that. And number two, do I have to use any brain power? Do I have to use a single brain cell while I'm doing it? Do I have to plan? Do I have to be creative? If yes, absolutely not. I want something that is plug and play. You plan it at the outset maybe, and then you just go. And number three, I want to be able to do it on the couch or in bed. I will not be sitting at a desk. I don't want to. So with all that in mind, let's see how we do. I am so fucking stressed out today. So today I'm gonna try neurographic drawing, which this is my first attempt. It's not good, it looks bad, but you know, sucking at something's the first step to being kind of good at something. If I can do this, literally anybody can do this, okay? Look at this tremor. Holy shit, really? We'll see how this goes. So a neurographic drawing is basically just make a bunch of lines and then you connect them and then you do little doodles or you, whatever, do something in the gap. I'm hopefully showing it on screen some. Okay, so what did I mean by we consider our screens an extension of our bodies? Well, I was wondering, why is it that I don't feel the need to check my phone when I'm doing something like crocheting or doodling, but I do when I'm like walking around or watching TV? I wound up going down a long rabbit hole about hands and brains and tool embodiment and extended mind theory, and now I'm making it your problem. So hopefully, by understanding the science, this video can be slightly more useful to you than the average stuff to do instead of brain-rotting video. Human hands and human brains are connected. Philosophers like Immanuel Kant say that the hands are the outer brain. And some science suggests that our brains evolved to be as complex as they are because of our dexterous little nacho tongs. That's because they enabled us to use and make tools, although it took loads of evolution between having hands that could make tools and having brains that were big enough to figure out how. Then our brains evolved body schemas, which is our physical sense of self, to include the tools that we use. So if you use a certain tool long enough, it becomes embodied, unless you're me and you're trying to crochet. What the fuck is going on here? When you're eating spaghetti or like driving a car, you don't notice the part where you're like manipulating your hands to use the fork or the steering wheel or whatever. You're just like, I'm driving, I'm eating. So I made it. Is it good? Not particularly. Did I have fun? Yeah, kind of. I think this was very nice, and I didn't need to use my brain. And you know, I was a terrible artist as a kid. Just awful. I couldn't draw an anime eye, nothing. Everything I drew just made me embarrassed to look at it. All my friends were better artists than me. But the thing about making shitty art is now that AI art is a thing, and you can just get a picture perfect AI slop of anything you want. Making art that fucking sucks, that's revolutionary now, baby. Also, I made this earlier, and I made this, and I really enjoyed making both of these, and I think they look kind of good. So just find some Instagram tutorials for art meditations. Thumbs up. You can know even without thinking like where your left ankle is just as much as you can know exactly where the bike's brakes are when you're riding, because your proprioception sense extends to the stuff that you use. When our brains add a tool to our body schema, it shortens the gap between impulse and action, which is just a fancy way of saying, I guess, that muscle memory is a thing. Like if I'm learning guitar, I have to instruct my body and be like, okay, pinky on the 3rd fret, middle finger on the top string, and then a few lessons later, I can just tell my body, okay, there's girls here, time to break out Wonderwall, and my brain just does it. It shortens the gap between stimulus and action, bypassing sometimes even the conscious mind, like, you know, slamming on the brakes when you see a deer or something. But most of those are like useful tools, not the evil depression rectangle that's like if the one ring, instead of making you invisible, just made you really stupid. So I went to a crafts fair and I walked up to a felting booth and I said, I want to learn to felt. And the lady was like, what kind? And I was like, I don't know. I want to make a blue cat. And she said, okay. And here I am. So, of course, our smartphones are embodied tools in the sense that they feel like an extension of your body when you're using them, but they're kind of unique in that they're also kind of part of our body schema when we're not using them because they're always in our pockets. They are a permanent part of our body schema, which is rare for people without mobility devices to have permanently embodied tools unless you're Sweeney Todd or something.
At last, my arm is complete again.
As an example of a shortened gap between stimulus and action, the second I remember literally anything I ever did or said between the ages of like 12 and, I don't know, yesterday, I just reach for it immediately. I don't even think about it. You probably do this too. Stimulus, action. There was no, I think I'm going to look at my phone. And I can't even use the I was just checking the time excuse because I literally have a watch to show me the time. Unless it's on Snoopy mode, and then it can show me Snoopy. Don't buy an Apple Watch for that. Don't buy an Apple Watch for that. You are not immune to propaganda. There's an argument from the extended mind framework that goes a little something like, because we use our phone for so many cognitive tasks, the phone isn't just part of our body schema, but literally a part of our mind. It stores a lot of our knowledge. We offload a lot of our brain power to it. And the thing about this argument is they made it in like 2012, back when phones were exciting new technology. But now, I think the same argument still applies, it's just kind of spookier. But then, I looked into the extended mind framework, and this whole thing goes a lot deeper. So according to this paper, there are 2 traits that can heavily predict your smartphone usage: high neuroticism and low conscientiousness. Basically, if you're anxious, a dumbass, or both, you're going to be reaching for your phone. And that's because people with these 2 traits are especially prone to mind wandering, which is, you know mind wandering, when the attention shifts away from a specific task and floats around to spontaneously generated thoughts. We usually think of this as a bad thing, like, oh, zoning out in class, I'm rehashing an argument. But mind wandering isn't all that bad. In fact, a lot of it can be kind of the source of all creativity. So anyway, mind wandering isn't a problem in itself, but the problem now is that mind wandering is just a trigger to use your phone, which interrupts any hope of you having a single interesting thought by bombarding you with made-up Reddit stories over Minecraft parkour and, like, outrage bait. Listen, I know Trump maybe blew Bill Clinton, stop telling me. Well, fucked up, but I'm gonna call that done. Would I recommend sculptural felting? I would say yes. However, this one was a little bit more difficult than the other ones, which is just to follow a pattern and then mindlessly do it. This one is good for if you have like 2 brain cells to rub together. Maybe that wouldn't be the case if I made like 1,000 of these kitties, but usually with sculptural felting, you're making like something different every time. Also for all my fellas, I know this is a very cute little guy, but the only person I know who actually felts is a dude, and he makes like forest scenes. So there you go. I'm looking up felted cats and expecting to mostly see stuff like this, and then I see photorealistic, like it looks like a stuffed cat. Cats? Crazy to me. Mind wandering is highly associated with fidgeting, but I found another paper saying that, according to the extended mind framework, fidgeting is mind wandering. It's not just like a symptom of it or a consequence of it. Your hands are part of your mind after all. And for me at least, trying to have a single creative thought while just sitting still like this is torture. Okay, so today I'm doing macrame. I'm gonna make some kind of a bracelet. And I remember this being very fun and easy when I was a kid. I don't remember how to do it. So I watched a YouTube video. We'll see how this goes. Okay, so here's me attempting the first knot. So we use our hands and we use fidgeting to think. Fidgeting is required for spontaneous creative thought, and use of our phone is a sort of automatic fidget. That means that we are having our thoughts, our creativity, and our ideas stolen from us every time we reach for the phone, instead of like playing with a pen, or God forbid chewing our nails, or doing a little easy craft. This article specifically talks about how phone checking is replacing mind-wandering, daydreaming, and other internally generated thoughts. And you'll definitely notice that you're using your phone as like a fidget toy if you've blocked apps on your phone, so now you're just screwing around on the health app, or you're like looking at the weather and you're like, I could just look out the window. Why am I doing this? So I guess what I'm saying is, you know how all those self-improvement YouTubers are like, you're overstimulated, you need to embrace boredom. I don't think they meant by like sitting and staring at a wall, but just something like this, Nice and understimulating. Okay, time out. I know what my audience looks like.
All my fellas.
I see you fellas, and I know that old lady hobbies are not what you're gonna be into. But first of all, the only people who think that crocheting is a little fruity are your stupid guy friends. Chicks think it's hot, okay? But I still want you to feel included. I know that 90% of those things to do instead of doomscrolling videos is like sew a pretty dress, paper hearts, or have a sleepover with your bestie and make your boobs kiss. And I'm sorry about that. So I asked a couple of my guy friends what some of their low-effort hobbies and activities are, and here's what they told me. Gaming, gooning, longing, podcasting, facing the void, ripping darts, standing in an alley and drinking beers and saying yup, dying in war, liking and subscribing, kissing the homies goodnight, and model trains. And I think one of them also said painting figurines. So I guess that's what the fellas are up to. This helps. But anyway, if you've got one, comment it. I would also like to point out that the hot guy from the Heineken ad was wearing the same shirt that I have because I made it. Crochet pulls. So okay, to beat phone addiction, you gotta do something with your hands. Obvious thesis made obviouser by me reading a whole book about hand-brain science. Okay, so do we like macrame? Yeah, I think this was kind of fun. There's absolutely no tutorials on how to make this clasp around your wrist that I can find, so we'll have to figure that one out. But I made this. It looks okay. Maybe I will give it to a local hippie in my park to smoke. I actually had this realization about a year ago when I was with a friend and I just kept checking my phone, and she was like, why do you keep checking your phone? I was like, I don't know, I can't stop. And then she just like fucking handed me a pillow she was tufting and was like, stab it. And I was like, okay. And then I didn't check my phone for the rest of the night. I did not care what was going on Twitter. Embarrassing. Any way that you can keep your hands busy, just do it. Hopefully some of the examples I've given will help you on your journey, but I'm not the one to tell you what you should be doing. And that's not really the point. The point was to explain what's going on so that you can stop being lost in the sauce. And as you've probably seen over the course of me struggling with these goddamn crafts, this is hard. Crocheting mini animals. Now, okay, hear me out. I do know how to crochet already, so this isn't gonna be new, but this is a fucking toothpick. So I feel like crocheting, like micro-crochet, especially crocheting animals, which I've never done before, is gonna be basically me picking it up for the first time. Cat. Domesticated cats are kept as pets for companionship. That's the first I'm hearing about this. Starting it is hard. Crocheting is easy, but learning to crochet was very hard. So if you need that initial push to like go to the store or whatever, here's a thought experiment I think about a lot when I'm on my phone. The infinite pleasure cube. Imagine a cube that you step into it and you're delivered nothing but serotonin and dopamine and you feel awesome until you die, but then nothing else ever happens to you. And I'm sure if you're like in a really bad place, you'd probably be like, yeah, pleasure cube. Oh, no, okay. But I don't think I would, because it's kind of like dying. Would you enter the pleasure cube? What about the pleasure cube, but it's only a few hours a day, and it makes you angrier and dumber, and it makes Mark Zuckerberg richer, and it's not even really all that pleasurable? Well, that's the bargain we're making. Me also as well. Hello, everybody. I'm not fucking finishing this. My hand's too shaky. This hook, too small, okay? I love regular crocheting, but this is fucked up. So you know what? This is a good example of what to look for something that does not keep your hands occupied while allowing you to relax, because it was not relaxing. It was extremely stressful, and I never got into a good flow state where I was just like, do. So yeah, if it sucks, hit the bricks, thank you. And you know what did it for me? Trying to make the ears to this cat, okay? These are not ears, these are just jumbles of knots. Are you kidding me? I followed the instructions exactly. Leave the pleasure cube. Go do what our ancestors stretching back before even Homo sapiens existed were doing, and go do some goddamn arts and crafts. This video was sponsored by Enshittification. Hey, you know how everything is worse, has more ads, is more expensive, and is somehow also majority owned by BlackRock? Well, we're dedicated to making your experience worse and your life shittier. All that money that we're saving by replacing our support staff with chatbots and our artists with AI-generated corporate Memphis, well, we're gonna reinvest it into buying back our own stocks to further enrich our shareholders, and only our shareholders. Enshittification used to cost $50, but now you can get it for the low subscription of $12.99 per month, every month, for the rest of your life. And you can finance that on Klarna, because we're a monopoly now. What else are you gonna do? Go outside? More like go fuck yourself. Don't forget to use my code HazelIsOnline to pay 20% more. Like and subscribe. But actually, please do like and subscribe. Okay, bye.